DATV, and the Greater Dayton Area League of Women Voters present Meet the Candidates, your chance to learn about the candidates running for office in the November election.
Hello, I'm Patty Skilkin, and I'm a proud member of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton Area. Today I'm talking to candidates for the Harrison Township Trustee position. There are actually 4 candidates for 2 open spots, but 2 of the candidates were not able to be with us today. The term is 4 years. You hold office for 4 years, and there's some confusion about what the salary is, but we have agreed that it's somewhere in the neighborhood of between $21,000 and $23,000 annually. We're going to start out by introducing our candidates. We have Georgianne Godsey and Roland Winburn. To open up, we're going to give each candidate 2 minutes to tell you a little something about themselves. This is your chance, candidates, to tell them about your dogs, your cats, your kids, why you want to hold this office, anything you want. You have 2 minutes. Georgianne, we're going to start with you. You have 2 minutes to tell the voters whatever you want to tell them.
Thank you. I am a 45-year resident of Harrison Township, and as a trustee, I have been able to use my experience in accounting and property management for the good of the township. I'm a graduate of Sinclair College with a degree in property management, a graduate of the Dayton Neighborhood Leadership Institute and the Sheriff's Citizens Academy. Currently a board member of New Path, a nonprofit that serves Fort McKinley. I have been past president of the North Dixie Business Association and the Shiloh Sienna Neighborhood Association. I've also served on the Harrison Township Zoning Board. I currently represent the township on the County Edge Committee, which is a program that has approximately $2 million available on behalf of businesses that create jobs and invest in Montgomery County. I've also served on the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission, utilizing their services in providing information and planning for the township. During my term in office, I have learned the challenges of dealing with fewer dollars due to the state reducing the funds we have traditionally received, the estate tax, the tangible personal property tax, and most recently, the local government fund. We've seen a reduction in county services, and in some cases, we've decided that we should pick up the responsibility for providing those services ourselves. I believe the township form of government is very effective and efficient, and I believe that you have 3 very qualified trustees in office, each with our own strengths. We can guide you through the next 4 years, and therefore I ask you to vote for me in November.
Thank you, Georgianne. Roland Winburn, it's your turn, 2 minutes.
So, thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for giving me this opportunity to come before you today and talk to you a little bit about my background, as well as some of my interests and desires for continuing to be a Harrison Township trustee. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and I have served in the Harrison Township trustee position from 2001 to 2008. Recently I was appointed to the position of Harrison Township trustee when Trustee Woods passed away in March, and I was appointed in April. So I've been serving in that capacity since that time. I'm an alumnus of Central State University and have a degree in psychology from there. I'm also an alumnus from Chaminade High School, as well as Capital Law School with a certification in conflict management and dispute resolution. I served, after my 2 4-year terms as trustee in the township, I served 3 2-year terms in the House of Representatives, representing the Harrison Township as well as other northwestern Montgomery County communities, and then in my last 2-year term representing some of those same communities as well as Preble County. I feel that my experiences both in local government, being in the township trustee position, having worked a number of years at the county level, also with the state level, has given me the opportunity to bring a host of experiences both in policy as well as and also additionally, apart from those policy setting and leadership positions, I've also served on a number of community boards, nonprofit, and so forth. I ask that the citizens vote for me this year to continue my governance here in Harrison Township. thank you for giving me this opportunity again.
Thank you, Roland. I'm going to stick with you for our first question. We'll get to the meat and potatoes here. What do you think the biggest challenge Harrison Township is facing right now? And do you have some thoughts on a solution for those challenges?
Sure. I think the scarcity of stable funding right now is one of the big challenges. The next one is I consider it to be economic obsolescence. And first of all, we have, over the last few years, there's been a reduction of local government funds. And recently we've had an evaluation of our homes there. On both of those occasions, those are where we look at a lot of our resources in the community to be able to provide essential services in the community. So with a reduction in those things, it helps us to really hunker down, if you will, and focus in on what is going to be the essential services for the next few years. I think that the things that we really have to concentrate upon will be reshaping the community in some respects, and dealing with the millennials who are coming in, as well as dealing with the aging population in our community, and how we're going to have the necessary and the type of housing that they're looking for. We want to attract businesses in our area to help them to grow and retain and further expand in their area, as well as we invest in those businesses. I think we're going to really have to look at our housing stock in a number of ways. The millennials are looking for mixed-use properties with apartments and condos atop of restaurants or entertainment centers. I think we're going to have to really look at the quality of services for our residents in the area to see that there's always increasing costs for products and goods and equipment in the area. So a stable community, economically stable community, will have to do all those things, as well as look at how we're going to provide for our essential services. So those are some of the things that I would like to see us do to be able to do that, to attract businesses, to attract some of the younger age people, but also deal with our aging housing stock and other opportunities that we see fit that deal with just our whole infrastructure, our road services, our safety services, and those kind of things. So it's going to be difficult, but I think we're managed. We have a good team to do that.
Thank you, Roland.
Thank you.
Georgianne, same question. What do you think the biggest challenges are, and what are your ideas for addressing those challenges?
I have to agree that state funding, the reduction in state funding is our biggest challenge, because that is an unknown. We can't plan ahead for that until we learn about it. We have the good fortune of having some very excellent long-term employees that have used their experience to assure that we are knowledgeable and take advantage of all of the grant programs that are available. And in the past 2 years, they have been able to fund much of our infrastructure at a cost to us of about 2 to 5% of the actual cost of the project. And so I think that in itself helps our community. We are a first suburb, which basically means that we're on the outer ring of the main city. And as our homes mature, our community matures, people are going to leave and go to the newer suburbs. Then what happens to our housing stock? How can we preserve that housing stock and make sure that people move in and take care of their properties? This is through our code enforcement department. They do a very fantastic job with that. We have partnered with the County Land Bank and with CDBG to assure that these properties are maintained properly, to get rid of nuisance properties and dangerous properties. I think this has helped tremendously, because the community can really drive what will happen. If they become knowledgeable of the voting procedures, they can have a tremendous influence on what happens, speaking up in Columbus. And we have begun to do that ourselves.
Thank you, Georgianne. I'm going to stick with you for the next question. What do you think is the most important part of this job?
I believe the most important part of this job is knowing your community, knowing the residents, what their needs and wants are, knowing the services that we need to give them, understanding the changes as we see some of the residents are elderly, and how do we change the community to meet their needs so that they will want to stay here as long as possible. And then also the businesses. We can identify our Webster Street as an I-75 corridor, which attracts many, many businesses that want to serve the government and the new local businesses. They like the closeness to the freeway. So how can we assist them in finding funds to expand their businesses and making sure that they have employees for their businesses?
Thank you. Roland, same question. What do you think the most important part of the job is?
Listening to and responding to our citizens, and having dialogue with those citizens about some of their quality needs that they see that would help them to stay in the community, to reinvest in their community, and to participate in some of the businesses that we have in the community and support those businesses. Those are valuable kind of assets that I think that each particular person has, and then we ought to be able to encourage them to do more, to talk more about that and what's going to be neighborly, for example. What's going to be helpful to them in terms of being the environment that they want to have, whether it's going to be a area that they're having more ability to walk through their community, to get on their bicycle and ride through the community, to experience a park-like atmosphere to go and enjoy with their family, maybe go to a nice sit-down restaurant and be able to experience some of that in the community. So to listen to them, and then to be able to turn some of those items and matters and concerns that they have and turn those into productivity in terms of the township. If they would like to experience some of those things, how are we going to use community resources to do that? How are we going to respond to that? Then we also have to look outside of that. Look outside to our state representatives and to our senators to help us deal with some of the budgetary items that we're talking about and some of the bills and things that they're doing that would impact upon us, so that we can make sure that they understand what are the needs and wants of the community, and to be able to respond in that way. So work collaboratively with those entities, those leadership positions, those people who may have some ability to kind of govern us or to have some ability to shape our community.
Thank you. I'm going to stick with you, Roland, for the next one. It's no secret that the entire county is having a big opioid problem. People are dying, people are becoming more and more addicted. What do you think can be done just in your corner of the world in Harrison Township to help address this issue for your citizens?
We have to have more educational dialogue and community events. We recently had one. I think Georgianne can talk about that a little bit because she was one of the sponsors who brought that in. But we've had the Sheriff's Department to come in and discuss the opioid situation with us. We gave them resource tools, and we also asked them to, if they see somebody, a neighbor or somebody in the community that is using those drugs or impacted by the misuse of those drugs or using those drugs, to offer them some resources to get help, to go and get drug treatment to do that. The other thing I think we really need to do is support our safety services, make sure that they're informed about that. We recently heard where there was an individual who just touched some of the chemicals and almost overdosed himself or herself. And then we have to be able to equip them with the necessary pharmaceutical items to save a person's life. So support those first responders, those policemen, those fire department people, those medics who are attending to that. But to begin to talk about it in the community where people understand the epidemic, and to try to ward it off by stronger family ties, if you will. To help the young people to understand what the impact of use is. So at the responsibility of a trustee, it's more or less supporting our safety services and having opportunity for educational events in our community to inform the public about that.
Thank you. Georgianne, give us your thoughts on this drug problem.
I believe that One, I want to give credit for the sheriff for just being very straightforward as to the problems that we have in the community, because they were real, and that in addition to the education, we have to provide activities for youth so that they don't get taken aside to get involved in this. They have no idea what they're getting into. We have used Drug Free Coalition. The Sheriff's Department is sponsoring that. They are going around to everyone that will listen, basically through the churches at this time, presenting programs on what it is, how dangerous it is, what they do, what services might be offered to help someone. When the services are offered, I think that that's one of my concerns, is that it is fine to throw a lot of money to say there are services offered, but we don't want to get caught up in institutions that are not doing a good job, that are not qualified to do that. This is a very serious type of rehab, and very difficult for the families and the individuals involved. I think that to me, number one is law enforcement, because I think that we have to stop the drugs from coming into our community, and we have to let them know that they're just not to bring them here. We're not going to put up with it. To give our law enforcement every support that we possibly can. We recently had a parent come in, and he just wanted his own little yard to be clean and safe for his child, and he had no idea that if he picked something up, he could endanger himself, which was surprising to me with everything that has been said out there about it. But goes back to educating every single parent and making them feel very, very comfortable in talking to the law enforcement to stop it.
Thank you. I want to thank you both for coming here and for running for office. It's always happy to see people willing to put themselves on the line. We're going to close. Georgianne, we'll start with you. You have 1 minute to speak to the voters one more time, ask for their vote, and tell them something that maybe I missed.
I think that Harrison Township is a wonderful place to live. I have gotten to know the 17 neighborhood associations that we have, and they are people that very much care about the community. All of our service departments care about the community, and I think we're very fortunate to be here. I've watched it become a closer community over the last 4 years, and hope to be able to encourage that in the future. Thank you.
Roland, your turn.
Yes, I want to ask again to the citizens who are listening to this to come out and vote this year. It's a very important election this year. A lot of people look at the higher election periods as being one of those times they come out, but they have to understand that local government talks to state government talks to federal government. So I want to utilize my background in terms of my experiences in township, county, local and state government, developing policies in those particular areas. Those things have helped me to govern, and I want to continue governing in that capacity and utilizing those skills. I think that when I came out of state government, I wanted to provide my services and my talent and my service back to my community, and I think being a trustee allows me to do that. I think my experiences both in community work on a number of boards, representing the township on a number of these boards, both in the first-tier suburbs and Montgomery County, Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission, and a variety of other community work has really helped engage our communities and help collaborate to get some of those services, those relationships that I'm sure that will be helpful when we can collaborate with one another and utilize each other's services and opportunities that are available to us for a better northwestern Montgomery County community.
Thank you. And I want to thank DATV, who volunteers their time, their expertise, their equipment to enable the League of Women Voters to bring you these discussions. I want to remind everybody that our voters guide, our world-famous voters guide here in Montgomery County and Greene County, will be available in all the libraries by October 9th. Early voting at the Board of Elections starts October 11th. And Election Day, the polls will open at 6:30. Be sure to get out and vote. One last little plug about the League of Women Voters. We are a completely nonpartisan organization. We never support or oppose a candidate or a political party, and we welcome everybody. Please, if you're a voter, call us and join up, 228-4041. Thank you.